assets and services at Birdon, and thanks for having me here today. And with me today is also John Gray. He is my Manager of Vessel Operations for Birdon, and together John and I manage 13 vessels across a number of remote locations throughout Australia, and this will be our 14th. So we're really excited to be part of what we consider to be a very vital public service. We understand how this connects communities, and it's not a nice to have. It's a compulsory part of living in this area. We presently manage 8 ferries in 7 remote locations throughout the Hawkesbury River, and similar to the Daintree community, we do have a lot of direct engagement with our local communities in these remote locations. And so the things that you're talking to us about today, are similar types of questions that we see across our programs. So today, I'm again really excited to be part of a new solution going forward. We know it's been a long time coming for the community, but in terms of the design for the new vessel coming forward, we do feel that it's a robust solution moving forward to provide reliability and consistency moving forward. So I thought I might just start by saying a little bit about Birdon. We are a 100% Australian-owned company, and we have 1977, we started off as one small dredge on Hastings River in Port Macquarie, and then about 15 years ago, Jamie and Tammy, brother and sister, inherited the business from their father, Jim Bruce. And in the last 15 years, it's probably closer to 16 or 17 now, but they have built that business from a one dredge on Hastings River to a successful business that operates across Australia and also internationally, particularly in the US. And the bedrock of our foundation is our maritime solutions. So our vision is creating certainty for our customers by engineering the right maritime solutions. And so one of the key things we did do is look at the specifications identified by the council, and we also then considered our own experiences operating, designing, building, maintaining ferries for Transport for New South Wales and also in Port Macquarie's Hastings Council. And we worked closely with the council to put forward what we thought was the best design that would provide the capacity, capability and ongoing reliability for the business. We really are passionate about innovation and providing and putting forward solutions that is what the customer is seeking, but also things they may not have thought of either. So what do we do at the moment? We do a range of services. As I said, our bedrock is maritime engineering, but we also do a lot of vessel structural and systems engineering design, ship repair, shipbuilding, disposal and dredging across Australia. We also have 5 locations in the US where we build and design maritime vessels for customers like the US Army and also a number of other large commercial organisations throughout the US. So, and in particular, in the last 5 years, we've been operating. We took over vessel operations for Transport for New South Wales with 8 vessels in 7 locations along the Hawkesbury River. And so for that program, we've achieved 99% availability, and there's certainly been days that's been hard and taken a lot of determination and grit to make that happen. And as I said before, this will be the 14th vessel for us. We also operate and maintain a range of other smaller vessels through Darwin and Sydney region as well. So this is kind of the broad transition schedule that's for the Daintree Ferry. So we're going to commence our design for the new ferry. Obviously, we have the current concept design. It's a preliminary design activities undertaken to ensure we're meeting the specification requirements. We'll commence that design next year for the new ferry. Birdon will also take over operations of the current ferry on the 1st of July 2026. So we've already commenced transition planning we're working very closely with the current provider being Entrada, and to ensure that at that transition point that it's a seamless transition, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Meanwhile, we're designing, building, we're reviewing, we're working closely with Durack, working closely with the council, and ensuring that our design is complete and our new vessel is being built. As mentioned previously by Rihanna, the new vessel will come into service in December 2027. Of course, we need to transit the vessel from Port Macquarie to the Daintree River. So obviously, a key part of that is ensuring we're giving ourselves an open, long and wide window to ensure we're meeting all of the weather restrictions in the area to bring the ferry up as a key risk reduction methodology. And of course, working very closely with Durack at the time to coincide with their readiness for the ramps. So really are focused on getting that handover of operations correct at the moment for the current ferry on the 1st of July in 2026. And I am seeking a seamless transition. I know that's easier said than done, but the idea is that the local users and the tourists for which this vessel is quite key is still able to continue to use the service as they already have without interruption. We will, of course, continue to employ local with a complete transition of the current Entrada workforce across to the current ferry. Of course, if they wish to join us, it's their choice, including, the ticket booth handlers and everyone involved in the organisation. We've already engaged in local training providers to provide ancillary qualifications and training for current and future any new people coming into the group, just to make sure that everyone's qualifications are maintained correctly. And then we're seeking local suppliers to continue to supply the services we need throughout the Daintree region, whether it be maintenance or fuel or any other resupply requirements we have to support the safe operation of the vessel. We are going to transition the current ticketing system on the 1st of July 2026. There will be no change to the current ticketing system in the short term. We are looking to introduce a revised ticketing system further down the line, and one of the key reasons that I deferred it was to ensure that we understood what was good and what was bad about the current system and how it is that we can improve it. Of course, we'll be working very closely with the council about improvements that are being sought through the council and from its users, and so the idea is that we'll be introducing that new system in 2027. We will be launching a new website and a customer portal for when we actually commence operations of the current ferry, and the purpose of that is so, as you're aware, that everyone has easy access to understand how they can buy tickets or understand the schedule or the timetable, and if there will also be a customer portal feedback opportunity for any inquiries or feedback that locals or tourists have. For us, key to service reliability is ensuring that planned maintenance, surveys, and other observations and other corrective maintenance is well planned and understood. There has been an extensive amount of investiture into the current ferry. Obviously, she's an old vessel, and we anticipate there'll be a number of areas of obsolescence that we can have to continue to manage and work with council to support through to the introduction of the new ferry. And so the key part of that is ensuring that we have our planned maintenance routines in place. We also have resources available to respond should there be corrective action required. And most vitally important, whilst we're operating the current ferry, we're looking to introduce the new ferry. We're working closely with Durack such that at that transition point that we're talking about, that becomes one, that the key points of design interface between the ferry and the infrastructure are well understood between the teams, and that it's a smooth transition in December 27. Please go ahead.
Ask a question about the upgrades, your normal stoppage for upgrades to the existing ferry. How long do you think those sort of things will
We're talking about corrective maintenance or
Yes.
actions on the existing ferry.
Yes.
Okay, so the idea is that we have uninterrupted service. There is time each day, 5 hours to undertake corrective actions, and so we would be obviously the key to avoiding a breakdown is seeing a problem before you've got a problem, right? I know that's perfect world without question. So the idea is that if we see something that needs to be done, we're doing that in the offline time, right?
Yep.
In the event that there is a breakdown of the ferry, and we need to be realistic that that may be the case, it's an older vessel, we will have local and also remote resources that are available to support. And when I say remote, I'm talking in Cairns. If it really gets crazy, I've got 2 entire shipyards that I can call on throughout Australia. So generally speaking, our outages are less than half a day, and that's only if they're very extreme. It's very, very extreme. Yep. It depends what the issue is, I'm sorry, but we're talking very generally there. Does anyway, before I move on to the new ferry and the new service, does anyone have any questions about the transition of the current service? Current ferry.
Not really, only that sort of take into consideration how a lot of people don't have like computer access.
Mhm.
There's quite a few people that don't. Our NBN goes out, like if you're working solely through a website, you know, you log on to see if the ferry's open or if it's going, or you know, if the flood's coming down, you know, you're going to cease operation. You know, we need to have a system in place and taking out of the old ferry, possibly to the new one as well.
Mhm.
You know, that you can, find people other than like the website.
Yeah, that's a great question, a focus that I've been working on for a while about how do we provide that best communication to the community and to the tourists who are reliant on this service. And so I mentioned before we were doing that transition, that got that 6-month transition period, which quite frankly I've started early, you know, before we start on the 1st of July. And one of the key things that I've been working with the council on at the moment is part of our communications plan approach about how it is that we look to maintain, but also seek to, where we can, find improvements to the current communication methods for the current ferry and the future ferry. So I don't have an immediate answer about how do we provide responses offline, but I'm using this 6-month period at the moment to ask those questions. You know, how do people who don't have access, just due to the nature of where they live, they've got no coverage. Again, we work with remote communities, so usually it can be a combination of website, text messages, other council announcements, or other, depending upon what the requirement is. That's true.
Radio.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone can get the radio.
Great suggestion, thank you. So that is part of our transition planning. Thank you. All right, I'll move on, but feel free to ask any more questions about the current service. So new ferry, very excited. What you're seeing there is an artist's impression of the new ferry. So this is what's called a render, and it is it's an artist's impression of the actual design, and other than just a 2D drawing. This is a indication of what the new ferry will look like in accordance with the new design. And the idea of it is to give people something that they can see and touch and feel, to get to know the ferry before they're there. The vessel specification, so 49 metres long, 17 metres wide, with a draft of 0.6. Of course, the draft being very important, which we're very aware of. There's been some extensive work to achieve that. It's a council specification, and we've achieved that. It has in part been achieved because we've been able to increase the lane, as requested, lanes from 3 to 4. And the lane width is also increasing up to 3.1 metres, which is a standard road size that you'd be used to. So, and what that means is that overall the numbers of cars that can transit across, of course, when you throw buses and trucks into the mix, it changes, but the number of cars that will be able to move across is 36. So that is a significant increase, and of course in both directions. as well, with the key focus seeking to reduce wait times for all of the customers that we have. As we've discussed, there will be 2 lanes of entry and exit with a view for dual unloading to reduce those turnaround times for the ferry. So what that means is we're able to load faster and also unload faster at the other end. And the key to a safe, quick and effective loading pattern is good direction by our deckhands. So part of our training for our deckhands, which the current deckhands would also have, but we will provide some refresher training, is around effective traffic management practices. And what we have, and I have observed this myself along the Hawkesbury in Sydney, that the most effective, safest loading is when the deckhands are very clear about where they need those vehicles to go. And the other part to consider around loading in a dual loading scenario is that you need to think about, where do the buses go from a stability perspective? Where do the big trucks go from a stability perspective? When I have a truck that's got, a very wide, sorry, don't know the term, between the two wheels, very wide, you've got to allow and enable the right type of loading mechanism for that. So the key is clear direction and clear understanding between the deckhand and the car that is loading. And I think to your point, sir, you were saying that you thought was the concern about the gates opening and people trying to shoot out. Was that your question? Sorry, sir, was that yours? Yep. Yeah. The reality is that is something that requires a very clear, safe management work system that will go with that. That will require some additional training for our deckhands to make that a successful evolution. We will have 2 deckhands there and 2 lanes that are directing the outcoming traffic. What I have been impressed by on the current ferry is there is great signage on the current ferry, which is not necessarily the case in some of the other remote locations that we operate. And I can see that there is really great signage around to the customers to understand where they need to stand, where they need to stop, when they're okay to go. So John and I have been observing, the safe operating practices of our deckhands and the operators that are presently working here, and we do actually think that those comms are good. We think though with the dual handling lane arrangement, that'll be another training piece for that. Cool. Of course, and the point here being reduced wait times. Reduced wait times is not just a function of the ferry, it's not just a function of a 4th lane, it's also a function of the very vital infrastructure works that have just been discussed. So it's a combination of improved access and egress from the ferry on both sides, as well as the increased number of cars that can be loaded both ways. Pedestrian access with an air-conditioned shelter for 12 people, and also we have solar panels mounted on the top of our wheelhouse, and that's for essentially auxiliary power and solutions for the ferry. We obviously have generators in our standard design as well, but there's an opportunity for us to try and reduce our environmental footprint. Really important that right now, this vessel is many years old and will have, there's been a heap of work done to it, but there certainly would be some level of obsolescence remaining in the system. And so part of the new design, I should say, is to ensure that the systems that we put in place and the planned maintenance routines we put around them ensure that those mechanical and hydraulic systems and the steel structure that supports them continues to be robust. And that is important around proactive maintenance activities. This is not new to anyone in this room, I'm sure, but I know through my own history working in maritime industry for a long time that, obviously this is a key focus for maritime industry around proactive planned maintenance to ensure that reliability and safety of systems.
Sarah, I recall that the contract runs for about 25 years. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just over 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this design going to last for 20 years?
Certainly, the most vessels these days will design it last, if maintained properly, right, will last easily 30 years. I'm presently operating a vessel that's 47 years old. John, what's your oldest ferry?
125 years.
Yeah.
Right. So we have
1899.
yeah, and so we
Yeah.
so yeah. Sorry, what was that? You.
And now.
Yeah, so, but the key to it is that we really do need to do those outer water surveys. And we do know that that is an inconvenience to the local community and the tourist groups that use the site. But that is the key to ongoing reliability of the
How
vessel.
often are they?
A standard survey is every 5 years. And so that's been extended out from 3 to 5. So it's less often over the period. That we'll need to undertake those key surveys. And the idea is that you're doing pre-surveys beforehand, right? You're already understanding what you're doing before you get there. We pull the vessel out. We have the correct subject matter experts there. We'd have surveyors. We'd have representatives from the Australian Maritime Safety Authority. Sorry, I will come to your question in a minute, sir. And we also have the trades ready to apply that work. And as I mentioned before, Birdon's history is ship repair. I've grown up doing ship repair my whole life. I strangely enjoy it. But the key to it is that it needs to be planned. Yes, there are surprises, but the idea is that it's better to find a problem at 5 years instead of 10. Yep. Sorry, you had a question?
With swift currents that you're going to get here in the Daintree,
yep.
Is both cables going to be live or is it flowing dry on one?
My understanding is it's one drive cable and one return cable. That's a very That's it because of the draft, the 0.6 metres draft. We anticipate, and due to the fact that of the way the curvature of the hull, how it the forces against the hull, we anticipate the forces against the hull are actually going to be significantly reduced to the current ferry. But we are maintaining the same cable size, so it's over engineering to maintain that.
A bigger ferry shouldn't need as much dredging either. It'll draft less water. It'll use less water.
It has less draft, but it is wider, right? So in terms of dredging, again, Birdon does dredging as well in other parts of Australia. Before anyone, you guys would be all part of this, and Rob could definitely talk better to this than I, but it's all about the pre-work. What's the surveys, the surveillance that's been done? What are the soundings that have been done to the seabed, so that and then there'd be a rate of recovery of the dredged material. There's a lot of process, a lot of pre-approvals, a lot of planning that occurs. So there would still be, due to the reduced draft, because it's wider, you're still looking at around the same volumes.
Just with regard to dredging, is that part of your contract or is someone else doing it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Obviously, our operators will continue to operate the ferry to support any dredging operations that are required, but no, it's not part of our contract.
So your contract primarily deals with design, build, running the ferry.
Yep, design, build, operate, maintain. That is the life cycle of an asset that makes Birdon quite unique in the maritime space. There is a lot of organisations out there that do parts of those and dispose. So we do actually the entire asset management life cycle for vessels, and with our combined experience of operating and maintaining, it means that we seek to ensure that the design is right to make it reliable. Sorry.
Just on dredging as well, not that I'm involved in that, but I understand, and that might be a case to this that the current dredge contract is currently at
When you have a heap of spares on hand in case of breakdown,
Yep.
so we don't have to wait for it and it comes from somewhere else.
So one of the key engineering design artefacts is what we call a critical critical materials list or spare parts list. In addition to that, we also have long lead time items identified as well. So something that we know we can't just pick up, that could be a number of months, a spare engine, a spare generator, things that we know that would take longer than a couple of days to get are the things that we would keep on hand.
But there'll be a lot of stuff on hand.
Yes, we will be storing and warehousing locally.
Will it be 0.6 fully loaded or 0.6 just in its own way?
No, it's 0.6 at Lightship, but with the I'm not part of those calculations. I'm sorry, so I don't want to pretend to be, but it is part of the design specification requirement. Yep. Yep.
How long are the out of order inspections planned to be?
Up at this point in time, because we've pushed them out from 3 years to 5 years to reduce the downtime for the ferry, they will be up to 14 days. That's calendar days. Yeah.
You need to put these in, put some information.
I'm more than happy to update it. I was just keeping it short and sweet. Obviously, but the reality is that the previous 5 day allocations just weren't enough time to do what really needs to be done. And the point is, if you really extend these out to the 5 years, which is what the regulatory requirements are, I'm legally required to do a docking survey every 5 years. 2 weeks is still pretty slim, but I'm comfortable with the pre-surveys we do that we can achieve it.
So is it cans or you pull out the bank?
And we pulled out in the bank. It's the same arrangement as previous.
I've been told though you've got infrastructure being built, Landside, to actually winch it off rather than having to use excavators and other.
We're presently looking at that. I'm not aware of the details on that, so I'd rather not comment on that at the moment. Yeah.
So there'll be which attachment points on the land side and marine winches. Actually, I should let the expert talk about it. He just pulled a naked boat out last week. Let's talk about it. Pulling the boat out.
Just before the finish, we've got clear correspondence from you telling us about all this time now. I don't envisage any problems as long as it's beforehand.
Oh no, certainly. These things are usually planned years in advance because I need to secure all of the correct regulatory authorities to attend. The surveyor, AMSA likes to come and have a look. They all like to get involved, and I need to also ensure there may be a long lead time item. I want to use that opportunity to change the engine out, making sure it's there. So
sometimes in the past we've had no knowledge and all of a sudden they've got this very
okay.
With a week, 3 weeks notice.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a point, we'll do that, we'll make sure, but just so you guys know, I know everyone reacted when Sarah said 14 days. My ferry in Sydney, on average, when they have to go for a cycle docking, is 3.5 months, right? So 14 days is really tight. It's good and it gets effective. A competitor's ferry that we had to support went out 7 months for a docking because they extended it for 10. I understand. Well, there wasn't in that place, right? So I know that. I agree with you, right? So that's why we're condensing it down as quick as we can. But I'm just giving you the realistic to do it properly. It takes a lot longer. So we are condensing it, working around the clock to get it down to the shortest time frame possible.
So you guys work with tourists or tourism industry.
We do.
And one of the questions I did put up is that the company Birdon actually takes more interest in the industry so that it actually has some affinity and collaboration with the partners that are generating millions of dollars in income for the Shire. Part of that then is recognising that tourists book 12 months out, particularly overseas visitors. So I'm getting bookings for, say, October next year, November next year. So if you tell me, 3 months out from your out-of-order inspection is going to happen for these 14 days, too late.
Understood.
It's got to be 12 months.
No, look, and that's great information, right? For me, I would need to know more than 12 months out. So, Rob, let's work out how we do that best. Quite frankly, we can lock it in now. Like, it's not a difficult decision to do. We just need to be clear about how we want to do it.
Yeah, well, the answer inspection we did on the existing vessel 18 months ago.
Yeah.
We took out of water for a period of time that we did, which was a bit over 5 days.
Yeah.
And we did the bare minimum on that vessel for the AMSA inspection for that period of time because we knew what we were doing now with the new vessel. Otherwise, they would have been out of the water for a lot longer than 5 days as well.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you just mentioned 12 months. We're 24 months lead time, which are
Okay. Is 2 years sufficient? 2? All right. Any questions? Any other questions? And then I'll hand back over. Yep.
Perhaps changing subject a bit, but the deckhands, I'm looking at the picture of the ferry. There's no shade. You've got there for the passengers, you've got air conditioning place for the passengers. One of the big problems keeping people working on the ferry is the conditions that they have to work under. And it seems to me that either end of the ferry, you would need some form of shelter for the deckhands, and best case scenario, you have a small box which would be air conditioned for them. Right, because it gets like, particularly in January and February, it gets stinking hot.
Yeah. I'll hand that one to John.
Yeah, there you go. But you know what I mean?
I can take that. So what I can tell you is I haven't been across the design phase this space. I've been operating in different areas, but that's already been raised to me by the current guys.
Yeah, good.
So we met with the designer yesterday, and I spoke to him about what we can do in that space. So we're looking into what we can do to improve that area for them as well.
Oh, yeah, keep people employed.
Yeah, absolutely. I run ferries in Sydney. I know I've got the same issues down there as well.
Yeah,
They're in Western Sydney, and it gets very hot out there. As during the summer, it gets up to 40, 41 degrees. Have the same issues. So
yeah.
well
I was
across.
just looking at that. That was where it came from. I just was looking at
First time I've seen that. So like I said, we're having that's a design. We're still in the stages of things. Little improvements. We had this discussion yesterday. Little improvements that we need to make, we'll make.
Too easy. Thank you.
I just had a question about ticketing. Will you take that over setting the price, or will that still sit with the Douglas Shire?
No, that's entirely the Douglas Shire. We will manage the website, the comms, all those things, and the booking system. But no, it's set by the Shire. Yep.
I just had a question about the relationship between the new ramps and the new ferry. Obviously, the new ferry needs the new ramps, but if there's a delay in the new ferry build or getting it here for weather or whatever reason, and the ramps go in, can the old ferry keep running on those new ramps?
The short answer is no. But my plan is that I'm going to pre-position the new ferry, right, so that it'll be there a number of weeks before it's needed, right?
Yeah,
so
that's the 10 days or whatever that you're saying we're going to be offline.
Yeah.
And then if for some reason the new ferry's not ready, then people aren't going to have their 12.
Yep. I can't talk about the infrastructure.
It is notice now, but then if something changes and that then looks back at the ramps, then people aren't going to have the notice that they need.
I can't talk about the infrastructure ramp side work. Rob, you go. Yep.
So we'll get to a stage where we've got communication. The vessel's going to be here, it's going to be leaving down there at a certain time. So that's a communication with these guys, and we'll be linking it all together, so it'll all happen at the same time. So we don't have a situation where we take the old ferry away to put the ramps in. That's not going to happen. It's all going to happen at the same time.
Yeah,
So
I
we
just saw that
coordinate.
around the centre and I thought if
They are.
ferry doesn't line up for that for some reason, then suddenly the ramps can't go in and then you don't have the notice.
So I can remove a risk by having the new ferry here early, right? And so what that means is when the ramps are ready, boom, right? As opposed to ramps being ready, ferry not here, right? So I obviate that just by doing an early delivery. And the reason I would choose to do that, even if it wasn't waiting for the ramps, I would still do that, because the number of times I've gone to do a delivery, and I've done deliveries out of Tasmania to Sydney, I've done deliveries out of Tasmania into Darwin, the number of times you get pushed back by 3 days because of a swell or something. So we always work a couple of weeks ahead of the plan.
So just to add, sorry, our dates will be dictated by when the boat arrives.
Yeah.
So if the boat's not going to be there, we're not going to rip out the old ramp.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, we'll have the existing ferry operating right up.
Yep.
It won't be taken out.
Yeah, no, it's just the time frame that we're down. People want the notice for that so they can
Certainly.
work their bookings and their freed out and whatnot. And then if that changes last minute because of the delay, then
Any last questions?
So just quickly, going forward, once you take over,
Yeah.
you will be then communicating to everyone and running that as the plan, or is there a division between authority from council to yourselves to the dredger? Like who coordinates all that? Because they're not part of your contract.
Are we talking specifically about dredging activities
No,
there?
just
Sorry.
generally once we start operating, if there's a specific issue that affects the ferry,
Yep.
where does that get communicated? Is it from
So my understanding, Rob, is that you'd like us to be communicating those impacts to any general operations, but anything from a longer term would obviously be led by the council and Birdon together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, we would like that area to actually manage that function of the ferry within
So
council.
council will still have an element of communication for operation of the ferry.
100%.
It's actually the Cairns Harbour Master who determines that rule.
Yes.
So
Okay.
it's not a council
Right.
decision.
Okay.
No, I think it
And
is
that, you know what,
legislative,
that's a
you're
great
right.
example of something we're learning. Yep. Right. Thank you so much, Rob and Lisa.